Hi, I'm Tennille Duffy from Rainmaker, and welcome to this video lecture for your program on Advanced Legal Communication. From this unit onwards, we focus on our oral communication skills. It might seem an obvious thing to say, but being a good communicator speaking as well as writing is something that's very important for all lawyers. Now, that might be obvious in the case of someone that works in litigation, for example, or attends tribunals regularly, but it's actually important for every single person that works in the law and for many other professions as well. Think about it, you speak to people every day, your friends and family, but when you're at the workplace or when you're at college or school, you're also speaking to people. You're communicating with people that are your colleagues, you're communicating with people that are more superior to you, you might be communicating to people and giving instructions. So there's lots of different scenarios in which you need to communicate, and the more effective you can be at that, the better lawyer you will be or the better professional you will be. So I'm going to spend some time in the coming units talking about some of the most important skills that you can develop and practice to become a better communicator. A lot of what we've already learned about our writing skills still holds true for these units on oral communication skills. So for example, the importance of structure and organisation in your writing holds true for your speaking as well. Whenever you get the chance to prepare, you need to make sure that what you're saying is structured and organised as well, so your audience can understand you. That's just one example. But keep in mind all of those things you've learned and think about how you can apply them to your speaking and communication tasks as well. So this is the first unit on oral communication. So I want to use this video lecture as an opportunity to pass on some of the tips that have helped me become a more confident speaker and some of the advice that I've had the benefit of receiving over the years. Now, that's not to say that I'm a perfect speaker, no one is. In fact, this is a skill that takes years and years to develop. But the point I want you all to take home from this lecture is that even if you're not a confident speaker, even if you really fear standing up in front of people and talking, you can develop some skills that will help you with that. And I really do believe that everyone can become a good speaker and can learn to tackle speaking tasks. Now, not everyone is destined to be a great speaker, an Obama or a Martin Luther King, for example, but everyone can become better than what they already are at speaking and develop the kind of skills that are needed to use it successfully in professional situations. I think the first thing to note is that to realise that it's okay to feel nervous or anxious. You can ask a lot of even very experienced lawyers or public speakers and you'll find that they still feel anxious, 10, 15 years after entering their profession or their field, they still feel anxious or a little bit nervous before they get up to speak. In fact, perhaps you could think of it this way. If you don't feel a little bit nervous or anxious before you get up to speak in court or before you do some kind of speaking task, then maybe you don't really care about what you're doing enough. I think of it as a little bit of nervousness or a little bit of anxiety actually helps sharpen you and keep you focused on your task. So, like everything, and I keep saying this in this program, you need to practice. And it's the same with speaking. So are you the kind of person that speaks up in class or in meetings, or are you even then anxious to contribute or to raise your hand? If you're still at that stage when it comes to speaking, then make it your goal to put your hand up and ask a question in the next class that you have, or to contribute to the discussion in a meeting or some other kind of professional context. Once you get more comfortable in those situations where you know the topic, where you know what the discussion is about, then you can move on to practicing some of the skills and techniques that will help you become more comfortable speaking in public. So like I said, practice. The first thing is actually start practicing your speaking in front of a mirror when you're by yourself. You'll feel a little silly, but it will give you a really good indication of what you look like when you speak, what body language you use, what your facial expressions are, and it will help you pay attention to what you sound like. So give that a try. The next time that you have to speak, or that you know that you're going to have to speak, practice at home in the mirror first, and just practice some different stances, some different gestures, until you get something that looks natural and comfortable. I think that there are 3 basic things that you should keep in mind as the most important things to remember when you're doing any kind of speaking. And they are breathing, stance, and speed. Now, it's obvious to say, but you need to breathe. And one of the things that can make you sound more anxious and feel more anxious is when you're not breathing properly. You're taking shallow breaths, you're not taking enough breaths, so your voice gets higher, you start speaking faster, and you'll feel more anxious as well. Pause, take a deep breath, give yourself a chance to breathe properly and naturally, and you'll sound better and you'll feel better. Second of all, your stance. Don't plant your feet together and stand up straight like a soldier as if you're in the military or something. That is not natural and it's not comfortable, and it's not going to make your voice sound natural or comfortable either. So put your feet a little bit apart, center yourself and feel comfortable, and you will speak in a much more natural way and you'll feel more comfortable whilst you're speaking. Thirdly, speed. You do need to make sure that you speak a little more slowly than what feels natural, or a little more slowly than what's in your head. Think about it this way. The people that you're speaking to, whether it's 2 or 3 people in a meeting, or a whole large group of people, or a judge up on a bench, all of those people, they haven't heard what you're saying before. You want to give them the chance to keep up with what you're saying, to process what you're saying, to really listen to the message that you're trying to convey. And to do that, you need to make sure that you're not racing ahead with what you're saying, because then they can't keep up with you. So speak a little slowly and practice that, and it will become more natural as well, and it will be much easier for your audience. Another great technique that will help you with your speaking is to actually record and listen to yourself. So start by just recording your voice. Most mobile phones and computers have that capability these days. So actually record yourself speaking. It can be a prepared speech, or it can just be your normal speaking voice, just chatting with a friend perhaps. Record that and listen back to it. And think about some important things. How does your voice sound? Are you phrasing your sentences naturally? Are you taking pauses? Are you breathing? Is there a chance for the listener to keep up with what you're saying? All of those things, listen to yourself and think about the ways in which you could improve your speaking. I can't emphasize how helpful that will be. And the second step after that is actually to video record yourself speaking. So then you not only focus on what you're saying when you watch that back, but you can actually see what your gestures are, what your facial expressions are, how you're standing, all of those things. So that's really helpful. In fact, it was one of the most helpful exercises that I did when I was at university myself. And it's the first time I realised how fast I used to speak when I was in public, was when I watched myself back on a video. So I really recommend that you use your computer or mobile phone to record yourself speaking, get a friend to help you. And that will really give you an idea of what you sound like to other people when you're speaking. It's a very helpful exercise. Some other things you can do is to join a speaking group like Toastmasters International and participate in the kind of activities that help you practice your speaking at university or in your workplace. So there might be mooting and other kinds of competitions like that you can participate in. Basically, if you want to become a good speaker, you have to devote time to it, and you have to take every opportunity that you can to practice your speaking. Finally, don't be afraid to get feedback from other people. If you want to improve, the only way is to get constructive criticism. It'd be the same if you were trying to become a better piano player or a better cricket player, or if you were trying to become better at making cakes. You'd want other people who have skills in those areas to eat your cake or watch you play cricket or listen to you play piano and give you tips on how to improve. The best thing about trying to become a better speaker is that you don't even need an expert to help you in this area. Your friends and your family know what it's like to listen to someone that's good. And it's really easy to get feedback. Finally, use the wealth of resources that's out there on the internet and on the television to really pay attention to some other people that are great speakers. So the example I used earlier was President Obama. There's countless YouTube videos, he's on the news quite a lot speaking, and he's generally considered to be quite a good speaker. So look at what he does, listen to what he does, what techniques work, what makes him a good speaker. And also look at people that aren't great speakers. There are heaps of politicians out there that you see on the news every night that are actually terrible at communicating with people. What do they do that doesn't work? And if you look at people that do things badly, it gives you an idea of what to not replicate in your own speaking. So if you engage in some or all of these exercises, I guarantee that your speaking and your oral communication will improve, whether it's public speaking or whether it's just interacting with others in university or in professional settings. I hope that these help you, and certainly if you've got any feedback or any more tips, do post on the discussion forum on the virtual classroom. Thanks for watching, and in the next unit we're going to talk about some of the basics of oral advocacy. So I'm going to spend that video lecture talking about some of the basic things to keep in mind when you're appearing in court.